My wife had no idea I earned $1.5 million a month. She brought a handsome guy home and snapped at me, "Move, you useless fool." Neither of them realized I already had my revenge plan in motion 3 minutes later. When my wife Gabrielle told me to move my pathetic ass and make drinks for her and the man she was clearly sleeping with, I didn't argue. I just smiled, nodded, and walked upstairs to my office, where I destroyed her entire life in exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with the part where she had no idea who I actually was. My name is Ethan. I'm 34 years old, and for the past 6 years, I've been running a global cybersecurity consulting firm called Sentinel Protocol Solutions. We work with Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and financial institutions across 23 countries. Our contracts range from $200,000 to $2.8 million per project. Last year, I personally grossed $18.4 million. This year, I'm on track for $22 million. My wife knew none of this. She thought I was a freelance IT guy who barely made $60,000 a year working from our spare bedroom, troubleshooting computer problems for small businesses and struggling to keep up with bills. I let her believe it. Why? Because 3 years into our marriage, I started noticing things. The way she'd return from yoga class with her hair freshly styled and makeup perfect. The way her phone was suddenly password protected after 4 years of leaving it face up on the kitchen counter. The expensive lingerie I'd find in the laundry that she never wore around me. The credit card charges at hotels in our own city. The Tuesday and Thursday girls' nights that her best friend Melissa knew nothing about when I casually mentioned them at a dinner party. So I hired someone to confirm what I already knew. Vincent Torres, private investigator, former LAPD detective with 19 years on the force. He gave me everything I needed within 6 weeks. Photos, timestamps, hotel receipts, text message logs pulled from cloud backups. Her affair partner's name was Kieran Ashford, investment banker, age 38, divorced, drove a Tesla Model S, and lived in a downtown penthouse that cost $8,700 a month. They'd been sleeping together for 14 months. 14 months of Gabrielle coming home from hotels, kissing my cheek, and complaining that I never did anything with my life. 14 months of her sighing dramatically about how we couldn't afford vacations while she was spending weekends at the Ritz with another man. 14 months of her rolling her eyes when I worked late, calling me boring, asking her mother why she'd settled for someone with no ambition. I could have divorced her immediately. Instead, I decided to wait, because here's what Gabrielle didn't know. When we got married, I'd been earning $180,000 a year doing legitimate IT consulting. Good money, but nothing spectacular. She knew about that income. We'd bought our house, a modest 3-bedroom in a decent Phoenix suburb, using a mortgage I could afford on that salary. What she didn't know was that 2 years into our marriage, I'd pivoted hard into cybersecurity. I'd landed a contract with a major financial institution that needed someone to stress test their entire network infrastructure. That contract paid $340,000 and took me 4 months. I finished in 2 months and used the remaining time to build relationships with their executives. Within a year, I had contracts with 6 more companies. Within 2 years, I'd incorporated Sentinel Protocol Solutions, hired a team of 23 specialists, and was bringing in 7 figures annually. By year 4, I was clearing 8 figures. I never told Gabrielle. I kept our joint checking account modest, $8,000 at most. I paid the bills from there, kept up appearances, let her think we were comfortable but not wealthy. Meanwhile, I had $4.7 million in investment accounts she knew nothing about. I had a cryptocurrency portfolio worth $1.2 million. I had property investments generating $47,000 in monthly passive income. Our house? I'd paid off the $285,000 mortgage 18 months ago. Gabrielle thought we still owed $178,000. Why did I hide all of this? Initially, paranoia. I'd seen too many friends go through divorces where suddenly their loving spouse became a financial predator the moment serious money appeared. I wanted to protect my assets while I built the company. Then, I'd discovered the affair, and hiding my wealth became strategic, because I realized something important. Gabrielle didn't just cheat on me because she fell for someone else. She cheated because she thought I was beneath her. She thought she'd married down. She thought she deserved better than the boring IT guy who worked from home in sweatpants. She wanted a successful man, a rich man, a man who impressed people. So I let her keep thinking I wasn't that man. I let her mock me at dinner parties. I let her sigh when I worked late on computer stuff. I let her tell her friends I was sweet but unambitious, and I documented everything. Vincent gave me the surveillance photos. I got screenshots of text messages from Gabrielle's cloud backup. The account she didn't know synced to a tablet I'd bought her for Christmas. I had credit card statements statements showing hotel charges, restaurant bills, gifts she'd bought for Kieran using our joint account while claiming she was treating herself. I had 14 months of evidence. I was waiting for the right moment to use it. That moment came on a Tuesday afternoon in late September. I was working in my office, what Gabriel called the computer room, with barely concealed disdain, finishing a security audit report for a pharmaceutical company. The contract was worth $680,000. I was 3 days ahead of schedule. Around 2:47 p.m., I heard the front door open. Then Gabriel's voice, bright with laughter. And then he actually said he'd been faithful. Can you believe that? A man's voice, smooth and amused. Some guys are such idiots. My hands stopped typing. Then Gabriel's voice again, sharper now, directed upstairs. Ethan, get down here, now. I saved my work, closed my laptop, and walked to the stairs. From the landing, I could see them in the living room. Gabrielle wore a tight black dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was professionally styled. Diamond earrings I definitely hadn't bought her glinted in the afternoon light streaming through our floor-to-ceiling windows. Next to her stood a man in a charcoal suit that probably cost $2,800. Tall, confident, hand resting possessively on my wife's lower back. Kieran Ashford. There you are, Gabrielle said, her tone dripping with condescension. This is Kieran. We just closed a massive deal at his firm and we're celebrating. Make us drinks. I descended the stairs slowly, hands in my pockets. What kind of drinks? Kieran smirked. Scotch, neat, something top shelf, if you have it. Gabrielle laughed. He keeps the cheap stuff. We're not exactly rolling in money, are we, honey? The way she said honey made my jaw tighten. Right, I said, not rolling in money. Move it, Ethan, Gabrielle snapped. Kieran doesn't have all day. Unlike you, some people actually work. Kieran settled onto the couch, the $4,200 Italian leather sectional I'd paid for in cash 6 months ago. Gabrielle sat close to him, too close. His hand stayed on her back. Must be tough, Kieran said, not looking at me, being the house husband. No offense, man, but I couldn't do it. None taken, I said. Gabrielle waved me off. Stop standing there like a moron. Get the drinks, and make Kieran strong. He's earned it. I looked at them for a long moment. My wife, in our house, with her affair partner, ordering me around like I was staff. Give me 3 minutes, I said. Gabrielle rolled her eyes. Finally, I walked back upstairs to my office, closed the door, and sat at my computer. Then I opened my laptop and checked the time. 2:53 p.m. 3 minutes. Let's see what I could accomplish in 3 minutes. Minute 1. I pulled up the property management portal for our house. The deed showed exactly what I knew it would. Ethan Reeves, sole owner. Purchased August 14th, 2019. Mortgage paid in full March 2, 2024. Gabrielle's name appeared nowhere. When we bought the house, I'd explained that putting it under just my name initially would help with some tax advantages related to my business. She'd shrugged and said, whatever you think is best, babe. That was before she thought I was pathetic. I pulled up a pre-drafted eviction notice I'd prepared 3 weeks ago, just in case. I updated the date, added Kieran's name as an unauthorized occupant, and submitted it through the county's electronic filing system. Processing time, 24-48 hours for formal service. But the system flagged the property immediately as eviction in progress, which would show up if anyone ran a property check. 58 seconds. Minute 2. I opened our joint checking account. Balance, $8,247.83. I transferred $8,200 to my private business account, the one Gabrielle didn't know existed. Left exactly $47.83. Would she notice immediately? Maybe not, but she'd notice soon enough. Then I logged into the home security system. Our house had smart locks on every door, controllable via an app I'd installed 2 years ago. Gabrielle had access to the app but never used it. She thought technology was annoying and just used her physical key. I changed every lock code in the house. Front door, back door, garage, side gate. All locks now required new 6-digit codes to open. The physical keys were now useless. 1 minute, 53 seconds. Minute 3. I grabbed an envelope from my desk drawer. Inside were 47 pages I'd printed and organized 3 weeks ago, waiting for exactly this moment. Property deed showing sole ownership under my name. Mortgage payoff confirmation dated March 2nd, 2024. Screenshot of Sentinel Protocol Solutions, Q3 revenue, $4.2 million. My personal bank statements showing $4.7 million in investment accounts. The private investigator's full report, including photos of Gabrielle and Kieran at 4 different hotels. Credit card statements highlighting $37,000 in charges Gabrielle had made over 14 months. Hotels, restaurants, gifts, all while claiming we were broke. Text message logs between Gabrielle and Kieran, including one from last week where she said, I can't wait to leave him. He's so pathetic. You're everything I actually deserve. I placed Vincent's business card on top of the stack. 2 minutes, 47 seconds. I stood up, envelope in hand, and walked back downstairs. Gabrielle and Kieran had moved closer together on the couch. couch. His arm was around her shoulders now. Her hand rested on his thigh. They were laughing at something on her phone, probably laughing at me. "About time," Gabrielle said without looking up. "Where are the drinks?" "I have something better," I said. Kieran glanced at me, eyebrows raised. "This guy serious?" I walked over and handed Gabrielle the envelope. She took it, annoyed. "What is this, Ethan? Some kind of—" She opened it. Her face went white. The property deed was on top. Her eyes scanned it once, twice, 3 times. "What?" Her voice came out strangled. "What is this?" Kieran leaned over. "What's wrong?" She flipped to the next page. The mortgage payoff confirmation, then the revenue screenshot, then my bank statements. Her hands started shaking. She looked up at me, eyes wide. This says you made $4.2 million this quarter. That's Sentinel Protocol Solutions revenue," I corrected. "My personal take was $1.3 million after paying my team and expenses." The color drained completely from her face. Kieran grabbed the papers. His expression shifted from confusion to shock as he flipped through page after page. "Holy shit," he muttered. "This is real?" "Very real," I said. "Keep going. The photos are particularly interesting." Gabrielle's hands flew to the next pages. Vincent's surveillance photos. Her and Kieran entering the Phoenician resort on July 18th at 8:37 p.m., leaving at 11:42 p.m. Her and Kieran at Bourbon Steak on August 3rd holding hands across the table. Her and Kieran at the Royal Palms Resort on September 8th, her hand in his back pocket. 12 photos total. 14 months documented. Gabrielle stood up, papers scattering. "You've been spying on me?" "I've been documenting your affair," I said calmly. "There's a difference." Kieran set down the envelope like it was radioactive. "Look, man, I didn't know." "You knew enough." I pulled out my phone. "You knew she was married. You knew we lived together. You just didn't know I was worth anything." I tapped my phone. Every lock in the house clicked simultaneously. Gabrielle jumped. "What was that?" "The smart locks. I just changed all the codes." I showed her my phone screen. "And filed an eviction notice about 2 minutes ago for unauthorized occupants." "Eviction?" Her voice went shrill. "You can't evict me from my own house." "Your house?" I smiled for the first time. "Gabrielle, your name isn't on the deed. It never was. You've been living in my property. Fully paid off, by the way, while calling me pathetic." Kieran was already backing toward the door. "This is between you two. I'm out." "Good idea," I said. "Oh, and Kieran?" Page 27 has screenshots of the texts where Gabrielle promised to leave me once she secured half my assets in the divorce. Except there are no shared assets, just mine. He froze. Gabrielle grabbed my arm. "Ethan, wait. Let me explain." "Explain what?" I pulled my arm free. "Explain the 14 months of hotel visits, the $37,000 you spent on your affair using our joint account, the text where you told him I was everything you settled for and he was everything you deserved." Her grip loosened. "Or maybe you want to explain why you brought your affair partner into my house that I bought and paid for, and ordered me to make him drinks while mocking me for not being successful enough." Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't mean—" "You meant every word." I checked my watch. "You have 30 seconds to leave before the security system arms and alerts the police to trespassers." "Trespassers?" She was crying now, mascara running. "I live here. Not anymore. The eviction paperwork is filed. You're legally an unauthorized occupant as of—" I checked my phone. 2:56 p.m. when the county system processed my request. Kieran was already at the front door, pulling the handle. Locked. "Let me out," he said, voice tight. I held up my phone. "Front door code is now 847293. Back door is 619475. You have 20 seconds to use one of them before the system locks you in and calls the police automatically." Gabrielle grabbed her purse from the couch. "Where am I supposed to go?" I gestured at Kieran, who was frantically punching numbers into the front door keypad. "Ask your business partner. He seems successful." The lock clicked open. Kieran practically sprinted through it. Gabrielle stumbled after him, still clutching some of the papers from the envelope. "Ethan, please, we can talk about this." 15 seconds. "My clothes are in boxes in the garage. I had them packed last week. The garage code is on page 43. She stared at me, disbelief and rage warring on her face. "You planned this." "I planned for multiple scenarios. You bringing your affair partner to our house to humiliate me just happened to trigger the immediate option." "You bastard." 10 seconds. She ran. I watched through the window as she caught up with Kieran in the driveway. He was already at his Tesla, door open, 1 foot inside. She grabbed his arm. He shook her off. They argued for maybe 40 seconds, her gesturing wildly at the house, him backing away, shaking his head. Then he got in his car and drove away, left her standing in my driveway in her $300 dress and borrowed diamond earrings, clutching papers that proved exactly how stupid she'd been. She tried the front door, still locked. She punched in random codes. The keypad beeped negative after each attempt. After the 5th failed attempt, the security system activated its automatic lockdown protocol. All exterior lights turned red. An automated voice announced, "Unauthorized entry Reentry attempted. Police have been notified. I hadn't actually called the police, but she didn't know that. She ran. I closed the blinds, walked back to my office, and texted 3 people. First, Vincent Torres. Need the full surveillance package delivered to my attorney. Everything we discussed. His response came in seconds. Already done. Sent it yesterday. Your lawyer has everything. Second, my attorney, Rebecca Chen at Sterling & Associates. 42 years old, family law specialist for 16 years. Reputation for absolutely destroying unfaithful spouses in court. Rebecca, we're moving forward. File everything. Her response, divorce papers filing tomorrow morning. I have all the evidence. This will be quick and ugly for her. Third, my business accountant, Marcus Doyle, CPA for 19 years. Marcus, need you to document all account transfers from joint to business accounts. Make sure everything is categorized correctly for the divorce. His response, on it. Also, congrats on the Q4 contracts. You're going to hit $25 this year. I set down my phone and opened my laptop. The pharmaceutical audit was still waiting. I had 2 days until the deadline. I got back to work. Around 7:15 p.m., my phone started buzzing. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Then another call. Another blocked number. By 9 p.m., I had 17 voicemails. I listened to them while making dinner. The first few were Gabrielle, crying. Ethan, please answer. We need to talk. I can explain everything. You can't just throw me out like this. Then Gabrielle, angry. This is illegal. You can't lock me out of my own home. My lawyer says I have rights. Then her mother, furious. How dare you humiliate my daughter like this? She told me everything. You're a monster. Then Gabrielle again, desperate. I'm at a hotel. I don't have money for more than one night. Please, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Can we please just talk? The last voicemail came at 11:47 p.m. Kieran's voice, tense. Look, man, Gabrielle won't stop calling me. She says you have photos and evidence and she's going to lose everything. I don't want to be involved in this. Whatever happens with your divorce, leave me out of it. We're done. Her and me, we're done, so just leave me alone. I deleted all the voicemails and went to bed. Best sleep I'd had in 14 months. The next morning, Rebecca Chen called at 8:04 a.m. Divorce papers are filed, she said briskly, citing adultery with substantial evidence attached. I've requested full asset disclosure from Gabrielle and submitted your complete financial documentation showing separate property ownership. How long will this take? In Arizona, with this level of evidence and no shared assets? Probably 90 days if she doesn't contest. Sooner if she signs quickly, she'll contest. Letter. Every day she fights costs her attorney fees she can't afford. You, on the other hand, can outlast her financially for decades. Rebecca was nothing if not pragmatic. One more thing, she added. Your wife tried calling my office 14 times yesterday. I haven't returned her calls. My paralegal documented each attempt for the record. Good. Ethan, off the record, this is one of the cleanest cases I've ever seen. Most people don't document affairs this thoroughly before making a move. You made my job very easy. I had time to prepare, clearly. She paused. Also, I should mention, Kieran Ashford's name appears in the filing as the affair partner. That's public record now. His employer might have some questions if his firm has any morality clauses in their contracts. That's unfortunate for him, isn't it? I could hear the smile in her voice. 2 days later, Gabrielle showed up at my office. Well, not my physical office, my home office, my house. She made it as far as the driveway before the security cameras flagged her presence and sent me an alert. I pulled up the camera feed on my laptop. She looked different. Hair unwashed, no makeup, wearing the same dress from Tuesday, now wrinkled. She stood at the front door, finger hovering over the doorbell. She pressed it. I didn't answer. She pressed it again and again. Then she started knocking. Ethan, I know you're in there. Your car is in the garage. Please, we need to talk. I muted the sound on my laptop and continued working on a security protocol for a healthcare network in Singapore. The contract was worth $1.1 million. Much more interesting than whatever Gabrielle had to say. She stayed for 47 minutes, knocking, ringing, eventually crying on the doorstep. Then she left. That evening, I got an email from her attorney, Donald Price, a mid-tier divorce lawyer with a reputation for taking hopeless cases because he needed the money. The email was professional but desperate. Mr. Reeves, I represent Gabrielle Reeves in your divorce proceedings. My client is requesting temporary spousal support and immediate access to the marital home for the purpose of retrieving personal belongings. Additionally, my client disputes your characterization of the house as separate property and intends to file a motion for equitable distribution of all assets acquired during the marriage. Please have your attorney contact me to arrange a reasonable settlement conference. Regards, Donald Price, Esky. I forwarded it to Rebecca. Her response came in minutes. LOL. He's got nothing. Don't worry about it. Professional, as always. 3 weeks later, I was deposed for the divorce proceedings. The meeting took place in Rebecca's office. All glass and steel and leather furniture that probably cost cost more than Gabrielle's annual salary at the marketing firm where she worked part-time. Donald Price looked tired. Gabrielle looked worse. She'd lost weight, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wouldn't look at me. The deposition was supposed to take all day. It lasted 90 minutes because Rebecca had documentation for everything. Donald, Mr. Reeves, can you explain why you felt it necessary to hide your income from your wife? Me. I didn't hide my income. I maintained separate business accounts, as is standard practice for LLC owners. My wife had access to our household finances and joint accounts. Rebecca, sliding papers across the table. Exhibit A, bank statements for the joint checking account showing regular deposits sufficient to cover all household expenses. Exhibit B, Arizona revised statutes regarding separate versus community property. Exhibit C, corporate records for Sentinel Protocol Solutions, showing the business was established as a sole proprietorship prior to the marriage and maintained separately throughout. Donald flipped through the papers, frown deepening. Donald, my client claims you deliberately misled her about your financial situation. Me, I never lied about my income. I never claimed to be struggling financially. My wife made assumptions based on, Rebecca, based on nothing concrete. Mr. Reeves paid all household bills, owned the home outright, and never requested financial contribution from Mrs. Reeves. How he managed his business earnings is not her concern, legally speaking. Donald, nevertheless, my client feels entitled to, Rebecca, feelings aren't grounds for asset distribution in Arizona. This is an at-fault divorce with documented adultery spanning 14 months. Mrs. Reeves is entitled to nothing except her personal belongings, which have already been returned to her. Gabrielle finally spoke, voice small. Ethan, please, I made a mistake. I know I did. But you can't just, I have nothing, nowhere to go. Can't we work something out? I looked at her, really looked at her. This was the woman who'd called me pathetic, who'd mocked me to her affair partner in my own living room, who'd spent 14 months lying to my face while planning to divorce me and take half my assets. No, I said. She started crying. Donald tried one more angle. Mr. Reeves, setting aside the legal issues, don't you feel any moral obligation to? No, Rebecca stood up. This deposition is over. Mr. Price, my client has answered your questions. We'll see you in court next month for the final hearing. Donald gathered his papers, shoulders slumped. He knew he'd lost before he'd even started. Gabrielle stood up slowly. Ethan, please, just, can I at least have some money? Enough for first and last month's rent somewhere? I've been staying with friends, but I can't keep. You spent $37,000 of our joint account on your affair, I said. That's roughly 10 months of rent at $3,700 per month. You made your choice about how to spend that money. I'll pay you back. With what income? Your part-time marketing job pays $32,000 annually. You're going to pay me back $37,000 while also affording rent, food, and the attorney fees you're racking up fighting this divorce? She had no answer. Rebecca held the door open. Mrs. Reeves, Mr. Price, we're done here. They left. The final hearing was 6 weeks later. Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. 62 years old, 28 years on the bench. Reputation for no-nonsense rulings and zero patience for bullshit. The hearing took 23 minutes. Rebecca presented evidence, photos, bank statements, text messages, Vincent Torres's complete surveillance report, the property deed, the mortgage payoff documentation. Donald tried to argue that I'd engaged in financial infidelity by not disclosing my full income. Judge Morrison actually laughed. Mr. Price, are you seriously arguing that maintaining separate business finances in a lawfully established LLC constitutes grounds for asset distribution? Your Honor, my client was unaware. Your client was having an affair for 14 months using marital funds while living rent-free in her husband's fully paid home. Judge Morrison flipped through Rebecca's exhibits. She spent $37,000 on hotels, dinners, and gifts for her affair partner. She filed a fraudulent claim of marital property ownership, and she brought said affair partner to the marital home to humiliate Mr. Reeves. She set down the papers. Divorce granted. All property to remain with Mr. Reeves as separate property acquired prior to and maintained throughout the marriage. Mrs. Reeves is awarded zero spousal support due to marital misconduct. Each party to pay their own attorney fees. Mrs. Reeves has 14 days to remove any remaining personal property from Mr. Reeves's residence. The gavel came down. Donald Price looked like he wanted to argue, but knew it was pointless. Gabrielle just sat there, staring at the table. Your Honor, Rebecca said smoothly, one additional matter. We'd like to request that all surveillance documentation be sealed from public record to protect both parties' privacy. I glanced at her, surprised. We hadn't discussed this. Judge Morrison nodded. Granted, exhibits A through M are sealed. Anything else? No, Your Honor. Thank you. Outside the courtroom, I asked Rebecca, why did you seal the records? She smiled. Because Kieran Ashford's firm has a morality clause in their partnership agreement. If those photos and texts became public record, searchable online, his career would implode. This way, he's just worried, wondering if someone might leak them, living with that uncertainty. You're devious. You're paying me to be devious. She extended her hand. Congratulations, Ethan. You're officially free. We shook hands, and I walked out of the courthouse.